Greetings from the apocalypse. So in our never-ending series on chasing and repousse, today we're going to talk about chasing hammers. So if you don't know what a chasing hammer is, I have a few examples here. This is a chasing hammer. Normally what it has is a big flat face. That's what you're supposed to be using to whack your tool. And it has a little ball peen on the other end, which you can use for other things if you want, but most people really are just using the one end. This one is sort of a nice-ish one. How you're really supposed to hold them, ideally, is lightly like this, and really just let it, sorry, this one's a little too heavy for me to do that. Just let it kind of swing up and down, just like pop up and down. You want a minimal movement. So in other words, you don't want to be like, you want to try to hold this lightly and just let the weight of this drop and hit your tool. So for example, tool, here's my piece, let's pretend. This is a piece I was fucking around with a couple years ago, so I pulled it out. You see what I mean? What you're trying to do is let the weight of the hammerhead just make it drop so that there's really sort of like the minimal effort, not a lot of stress on your wrist or anything else. Just let the weight of the tool do the work for you, which is always what you want to be thinking about when you're working. So that's a chasing hammer. This is a super extra fancy, gorgeous one, but guess what? It does the same thing. Now this one, the handle's a little smaller, so this fits me a little better, so I can make sure I've got the right end of the tool down. You see what I mean? It's like you really just let the weight of the head kind of just drop down, you get a little bounce, and that's it, okay? Here's an even heavier one, but you see my point. They all have the same basic shape, a big flat head for whacking your tool and a little ball peen on the other side. Now, let's say you don't have a chasing hammer at home and your budget is limited, or maybe you just don't have time. Guess what? You know what else will hit a metal stick? A leather mallet. Observe. Wait, it's almost the same thing. So the point that I'm trying to make by being a smart alecky little shit, I guess, is there's always ways that you can refine your technique and get the most perfect stroke, or, you know, the most beautiful effect. But guess what? There's not so much difference that if you don't have access to or can't afford right now to buy a really nice fancy chasing hammer, you can use whatever hammer you have. Because guess what? Every hammer in the world will hit a metal stick with a little more force than by just pressing it. So that's how I want you to start thinking about jewelry tools. Because as I've said a million times before, you know, I adore jewelry tools. I want them all, and I want the best, and the one that does it like just the most perfect way. But don't let perfect be the enemy of just getting the job done, because guess what? You can use a leather mallet and smack your tool and you get a perfectly good result, and you know, it's fine. So that's what I mean about this whole series with, like, yes, there's amazing, fascinating, you know, tools that you can get to do this, but don't think that, like, if you don't have a big pitch bowl, if you don't have a fancy chasing hammer, if you don't have a whole bunch of specifically purchased chasing repousse tools, that you can't do chasing and repousse. All it is taking a hammer and smacking a stick into something that's metal and making a shape in it. So that's the main message I'm trying to send, okay? Anything that will hit your tool will do the job. And I'll also show you a little Japanese chasing hammer that I happen to really love, because I do a lot of like little fussy work. So a lot of times I don't want giant like silversmithing sort of type hammers because they're just too big. So this is a chasing hammer. You know, it's really well balanced. And in this case, what well balanced mean is the head is nice and heavy as compared to the handle, so that it wants to just drop. And this is like a bamboo handle, which is, you know, looks not very different at all from a chopstick. This I love when you're doing a little fine texturing things. See what I mean? You just let it bounce up and down. I don't even have to really look at it to do it. So we'll be selling these on the site because they are adorable and they work really well. But just remember, any hammer will chase and repousse.